So our items property, the items are stored in a collection, which is also called items collection. So again, we are doing chapter 5. I started on page 309 for those that are listening to the recording. So adding items to the collection box to store values in the items property at design time, we are going to select the list box control in the designer window. And then in the properties, you're going to see 3 little buttons, and you're going to click on those buttons. And there is where you'll get a text box, and you'll be able to add the information in this text box that you want in your list box. So items.count property. So this returns the number of list box items, or 0 if the list is empty. So for example, the items.count return value can be used in an if statement, or it can be assigned to a variable. Oops, did I pass? So item indexing, the items property values can be accessed from your Visual Basic Code. Each item value is given a sequential index. The first item has an index of 0. So it will not start at 1. So it's kind of like an array. So arrays start at 0. They do not start at 1. So the second item of the index will be 1, and so on and so forth. So when assigning an item to a variable, you must explicitly convert the item to the same data type as the variable. So here is an example. So our string name is equal to list customers.items to .toString. So init room number is equal to C init list numbers. Thank you, Cheryl. List numbers dot item is 0. And of course, they don't explain that. So this one here, it says 2. So I believe that this would mean that there are 3 items, because if we start at 0, we're counting 0, 1, 2. Yes, I am, Cheryl. So handling exceptions caused by indexes. So an exception is thrown if an index is out of range. An exception handler can be used to trap indexing errors. So again, the same thing with that try catch. So it's an exception. It's an exception handler. So some programmers prefer to use an if statement to handle indexing errors. So you can do either. You can do the try catch, or you can do an if else statement or an if statement. Any questions? Okay, the selected inbox property. So the selected inbox property returns an integer with the index of the item selected by the user. So if no item is selected, the value is set to -1, which is an invalid index value. So this can use selected index to determine if an item has been selected by comparing to -1. So here is an example. So if the list locations dot select index is less than greater than -1, then the start location is equal to the list locations. Okay, so if no item is selected, the value is set to -1. So just remember that if the user does not select any of the items that's in there, the value is -1. So the selected item property contains the current selected item from the list. So here again is an example. So if the list items dot selected index is less than greater than -1, our start item name is equal to list items dot selected item dot toString. So what they're doing there is they're printing out. Okay, any questions on that one? So for that one, in the book that's on page 317, 318. So the sorted property. So sorted is a Boolean property. Again, what is Boolean? Anybody? You can come off mute. Did you go to sleep?
I completely forgot.
It's Boolean would be essentially the code for the computers, with 0 being no and 1 being yes.
Right, or true, false. Yes, thank you, Cheryl. I saw that. Yes, so Boolean is equivalent to either the 0 or the 1, or either equal to true or false. Very good. So when when set to true, values in the item properties are displayed in alphabetical order. So when it's set to false, it's the item properties are displayed in the order that they were added. So again, and it's set to false by default. So it's going to be listed however you type them. So if you want them in alphabetical order, make sure your Boolean property is set to true. So this is a very good thing to know with Visual Basic, because again, there are other codes that probably doesn't automatically do this for you like that. So the items.add method. So to store values in the item properties with the code at runtime, we would use the items.add method. So here is the general form. So list box dot items dot add. So what this is, I believe this is where you're asking the user to add something to the list box. Okay, you can have the user add something to your list box. So the list box is the name of the list box control. So item is the value to be added to the item's property. So for example, list students dot items dot add Sharon. So you can add virtually any type of values to the list box, including objects. So items dot insert. To insert an item into a specific position, you would use the items dot insert method. So again, here is our general form, our list box items dot insert, and then in parentheses, we have index comma item. So again, our list box is the name of the list box control. Our index is the integer value for the position where you want the item to be placed. And then item is the item you wish to enter. So here we want to insert in the second position, we want to insert Jean. Okay, we want to insert the student Jean in the second position. So again, remove works the same way. So remove at removes items at the specific index. Remove removes items from the value specified by item. Clear removes all items within that item property. So again, here is an example. So remove at 2, it is going to remove the third property. Again, why is it going to remove the third property? Anybody remember?
Because doesn't it always start at 0, so it would kind of...
Exactly.
I don't know how to explain, I just know.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. Because again, when we're doing items, it gives the first value a value of 0. Okay, a value of 0. So it's 0, 1, 2. We're saying remove the item with a value of 2. So it's going to remove the third item. Very good, Michael. So items got removed, Jean, it's going to remove the student with the name of Jean. So clear is going to remove all of the items within the list box. Okay, any questions? Okay. So let me just real quick, let me come off of here real quick. And let me just show you the creation of a list box real quick. What happened? Oh no. Oh, there it is. Okay, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so in Toolbox, we are going to get list box here. So we're just going to move that over. Again, we can make it as big as we want. And this list box is going to be in there. Again, we can either hit this little caret up at the top and edit items, or either we can go into properties and here where it says items, we can hit the 3 little dots there. And that is where our information will, come up. So we can put in information. And say, okay. And there is our list box. Okay. Any questions? I just wanted to show you that real quick. Okay.
Yes, I got a question. Can you
Yep.
can you go back again, please, from
Sure.
the list box? Thank you.
Yes. What's the question?
Yeah. My question. I just wanted to. I mean, if you could go back from our list box, I never seen
Oh,
that.
go back. So let me get rid of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so in our toolbox, again, and it's going to be in our common controls, we want to get list box. Okay, you just
Yeah.
drag that over. And again, you can either in your properties, click items and click the little 3 buttons here. That's how I did it before. I'm going to cancel that. Or either you can go over here and click this little caret and say edit items. It'll still bring up the same thing. And you just begin typing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. And you just say, okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let me just see real quick. And see here, up here is what it's going to look like up at the top, your code. See, this is how it looks. If I go back, let me go over here to see our name here. It's list box. And I think that is the only place for here that you would need to change, the name of your list box. okay? Okay, we got it? Okay, so if you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can do the tutorial that's on tutorial 5-1, that's on page 317. And they just go through using the months, and then they put in some years. That would probably be a good example to go through, so that you'll be able to understand how to use your list boxes. Okay, so the next one is important collection methods and properties. Again, there's add, there's clear, contains, count, index of, inserts, items, remove, and remove at. So some of these are some of the ones that we just talked about in our earlier slides. So now we're going to get into the introduction of loops, the do while loop. So a repetition structure or loop causes one or more statements to be repeated. So each repetition of the loop is called an iteration. So Visual Basic has 3 types of loops. There is the do while, the do until, and then the for next. So the difference among them is how they control the repetition. So the do while loop has 2 important parts. Again, there is a Boolean, which is the yes and the no, or the true and the false, and then a statement or group of statements that repeat as long as the Boolean expression is true, okay? And this is called continually executed statements. So do while Boolean, and then here is our loop. So we have a statement, we come in here. If it's true, then we're going to process. So it's going to keep going around until this is true. Okay, so I'm trying to think of a statement. So you can say, give me everything less than 10. So it's going to go through this, less than 10. Is this less than 10? Yes. Is 5 less than 10? Yes. Is 6 less than 10? Yes. 7, so on, 8, 9. And then when it gets to 10, it's going to drop out. Okay, so it's going to process this until it gets to a false statement that we have, and then it's going to drop out. Do we understand that one?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, thank you. So again, here is an example of a do while loop. So our unit count initialized to 0. Oh, I didn't even know that this was here, so I did it right. So this was the do while. We're going through do while, type hello, do while, type hello, and then it's going to add 1. You have to make sure that you add 1 because you have to know how many times you count. So you have to place that somewhere. So this plus equals 1 is going to do the counting for you. Okay, so it's going to repeat until you until everything is no more or less than 10. Okay, and then it's going to drop out. So infinite loops, a loop must have some way to end itself. If you don't give the users a way out, your loop is still going to be going. It's still going to be going. And something within the body of the loop must eventually force the test expression to be false. So in the previous example, the loop continues to repeat. So the init count increases by 1 for each repetition. So finally, init count is not less than 10, and the loop ends. So if the test expression can never be false, the loop will continue to repeat forever. And this is called an infinite loop. So counters. So a counter is a variable that is regularly incremented or decremented, each time a loop iterates. So increment means to add 1 to the counter. Decrement means to subtract 1. So you can do it either way. You can do it either way. So you can say count down until you get to 0, or count up until you get to 10. Okay? So pre-test and post-test do-while loops. So previous do-while loops are in pre-test form. So the expression is tested before the body of the loop is executed. So the body may not be executed at all. So if this do-while expression is false, then there might be some code that might not that Visual Basic might not go through. So do-while loops have also a post-test form. So the body of the loop is executed first, then the execution is evaluated. The body repeats as long as the expression is true, and a post-test loop will always execute the body of the loop at least 1 time. So the post-test do-while loop, say that 1,000 times. The do-while loop can also be written as a post-test loop. So here, do whatever your statement is, and then loop while your boolean, again, your boolean is true, false. So our while boolean expression appears after the loop keyword. So test its Boolean expression after each loop iteration. So while always, this will always perform at least 1 iteration of the Boolean expression is false to start with. Okay, so even if it's false, it's still going to test it. So this is our post test. It's still going to test even if the statement is false. So here is an example of a post-test do-while. So we have our variable, so do hello world init count plus equals 1, while or loop while the init count is less than. So the init count is initialized to 100. So we already know that it's false, but it's still going to drop through until we can turn that little indicator to false. So the statements in the body of the loop execute. The expression init count is less than 10 is tested. The expression is false. The loop stops after the first iteration. So again, there's a tutorial 5.3. It's just a modification of 5.2. And here is where you can test the do-while loop. And again, I highly suggest that you at least try these tutorials. Excuse me. So keep a running total. So many programming tasks require you to calculate the total series of numbers. So like sales totals or scores. This calculation generally requires 2 elements: a loop that reads each number in the series and accumulates the total. These are called a running total. So a variable that accumulates the total is called an accumulator. So logic for keeping a running total. So here's setting the accumulator variable to 0. before entering the loop is a critical step. So make sure you understand. So we set our accumulator to 0. So is there a number to be read? Yes, there is a number to be read. If we go this way, so now we're going to read our number, then we're going to add that number to the accumulator, and then we're going to keep running until there are no more numbers to be read. So if we're only going up to 10, after 10, there are no more numbers to be read, so now we can drop out. Do we understand that? Any questions? No questions, good. So again, here is the post, this is just an example of the post-test running loop. So here, do this and loop until. Okay, so that's just an example there. So again, more practice, tutorial 4 and tutorial 5 here in chapter 5 will assist you with some do whiles. So now we have do until and for next loops. So a do until loop iterates until an expression is true. So this repeats as long as the test expression is false and end when the expression becomes true. So this can be written in either pre-test or in post-test form. So here is pre-test. So do until Boolean statement. And then there is our do until loop. And then here is a post-test. So we do this statement, and here is our until Boolean here. And this is in 5.6 tutorial. So for next, the ideal loops that require a counter, or this is ideal for loops that require a counter. So then this is in pre-test form only. So for counter variable equals start value to end value, and here is our statement, and then here is our next. So this is for something, some statement, and then next. So for, to, and next are keywords. So you can never use these as variables when you're creating variables. So counter variable tracks the number of iterations. Start value is an initial value for a counter. Our end value is the counter number of final iteration. Okay, so here is our start number, here is our end number. So there's an optional step increment that allows the counter to increment at a value other than 1 at each iteration of the loop. So our for next, so for init count equals 1 to 10. So that's our start value, that's our end value. And we want to print out hello. And we're going to do this until we get to 1 to 10. So our init count is set to 1. Step 2, the init count is compared to 10. So if init count is less than 10, continue on to step 3, and they're going to continue on and do that until it drops out. Okay, any questions? So again, here's a flow chart for our for next. So we're going to set our init counter to 1. And we're going to go in until this init count is less than equal to 1. So again, we're going in, going to print out hello, and we're going to keep going until we get to 11. And then we're going to drop out. Okay? So specifying a step value. Specifying a step value. I am on page 338. So the step value is the value added to the counter variable at the end of each variable. So it's optional if it's optional, and if not specified, it defaults to 1. So the following loop iterates 10 times with counter values of 0, 10, 20, so on and so forth. So here, so for init equals 0 to 100, we want to step 10 times. So again, like it said, it's going to go 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up. So the step value may be negative, causing the loop to count downward. Okay, do we understand what they're talking about with the step value? So this step value could be 5, and it's going to step 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, all the way up. Or it could go by 2s, it could go by 1s, it could go by thousands. Do we understand what they are talking about with the step value? Or any questions, any other questions? Yes, maybe, no? Okay, no question. So summing a series of numbers. So the for next loop can be used to calculate the sum of a series of numbers. The sum of a series of numbers. So here they have their variables. So for init count equals 1 to 100. So then our init count is plus equal init count. Then next, they're going to print out a message. The sum of 1 through 100 is, and then they're going to print it out. Okay, questions? Good. So here's an optional topic, breaking out of the loop.
Could
Yeah.
you go back so I could relook at that real quick?
Sure.
Can you explain exactly what's supposed to happen with that real quick?
Sure. Let me just see if they have something further in the book on that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome, not a problem. Okay, so there's our step. This is a series of numbers. So, okay, so a series of numbers. So if you have your book on page 339, we see line 14. So it says this code uses the variable init number as the accumulator and calculates the sum of numbers from 1 through 100. So the counter variable init count has a starting value of 1 and an ending value of 100. So each time it goes through, it's going to add 1, then it's going to add 2, then it's going to add 3, then it's going to add 4, all the way up to 100. It's going to add that number to your initial count.
Gotcha. So if you keep pressing the button, it'll do it 100 times, and then it won't do it anymore after that, though, right?
Correct. Correct.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Or it's going to do it. You don't have to press the button. It's going to count until, like you said, it gets to 101, and then it's going to drop out of this loop. Because this is the for next. Once you hit the button, you hit the button one time, it's going to go through this loop on its own. And it's going to go through and it's going to calculate everything from 1 to 100. Once it gets to 101, it's going to drop out of that loop and move on to the next code, the next set of code. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So breaking out of a loop. So in some cases, it is convenient to end the loop before the test condition would end it. So the following statements can accomplish this. So you can do a exit do. This is used in a do while or a do until loop, or you can do a exit for, and this is used in a for next loop. So you would use this capability with caution. So it bypasses the normal loop termination. So it also makes the code more difficult to debug. So if there is you know, an error, if you use this for do or this exit do in this exit for, it's going to make it more hard for you to debug your code. That's why it's an optional topic. You don't have to you know, use this code, and I don't think we use it in any of the assignments that So deciding which loop to use. I know you're like, okay, we're learning about these different kind of loops. So which one do I use and when do I use it? So each type of loop works best for different situations. So the do while loop, you would use when you wish to loop to repeat as long as the text expression is true, or at least once as the pretest loop, or once as a pretest loop. So the do while loop, you would use it when you wish to loop to repeat as long as the text expression is false, or at least once as a pretest loop. So the for next loop is primarily used when the number of required iterations is known. So if you know how many times you want to go through something, you want to use the for next loop. So a nested loop. So a nested loop is a loop inside of another loop. I'm on page 341. So the hands of a clock make a good example. So the hour hand makes 1 revolution for every 60 revolutions of the minute hand. The minute hand makes 1 revolution for every 60 revolutions of the second hand. For every revolution of the hour hand, the second hand makes 36,000 revolutions. So this is an example of, this is the example that they're using for a nested loop. Okay, so it's a loop inside of it. Okay. So for init hours equals 0 to 23. So we have our hours label, and then we have our minutes 0 to 59. So this is a nested loop statement. So once this gets to 59, it's still going to go through. Once it gets to 60, it's going to drop out. Same thing here, it's going to drop out. Same thing here when it gets to 23. So then it will move on to the next day. Okay, so here, this is our seconds, this is our minutes loop, and the outer loop is our hours. Do we understand this one? I think this is a good example of nested. So the nested loop example analysis, so the innermost loop will iterate 60 times. The middle will iterate 60 times for each iteration of the outermost, and then 24 iterations of the outermost loops require 1,440 iterations and 86,400 iterations of the innermost loop. So an inner loop goes through all of the iterations for each iteration of the outer loop. So you multiply iterations of all loops to get the total iterations of the innermost loop. That's a lot. Questions? Good.
So that one
Oh.
counts the hours, minutes, days, or how come both the innermost and the middle are both 60, but the other one's like
Yes, because there's what? There's 60 seconds in a minute, and there's 60 minutes.
oh,
60
I see.
minutes.
This one's like a clock, right?
Yes, yes. This is the same example from before. The
All
same
right, thank you.
example here. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. An hour. So multi-column list box and checkbox, or checked list box and combo boxes. Oh. So here is a multi-column list box. So the list box control has a multi-column property. So the Boolean property again is set to a value of false. So if it is true, they can appear side by side. So below is the column width, and it is set to 30. So note the appearance of the horizontal scroll bar in this case. So that means that there are more numbers on this side. So I am on page 342. So then here are our checked boxes. So again, it's a list box, as we already discussed, and then one item at a time may be checked, or there may be multiple checked at a time. So the click on or the check on click property determines how many items you may want to check. Okay, so again, if it's false, the user clicks an item once to select it, and then again to check it. So true, the user clicks item only once to select it and check it. So finding the status of checked items. So the get item checked method determines if an item is checked by a running Boolean. So the here is the general format here. So it returns true if the item at index has been checked. Otherwise, it will be false. So again, here's an example. You can go through that. So again, combo boxes are similar to list boxes. They both have item counts. They have selected index, they have selected items, and they have sorted properties. So they both, you can still add items, you can clear items, you can remove items, you can remove at. They all have these methods. So these properties and methods work the same with the combo boxes and for list boxes. So additional combo box features. The combo box also has functions like a text box. The combo box has text property, so the user may enter text into the combo box, or the user may select the text from a series of list box type choices. So in code, we use the CBO prefix when naming combo boxes. So it's the CBO as your prefix, or however you do it, however you can code your variables. So again, here is the sample. Here is a list. The list is always shown. So there is the drop down combo box. The list will only appear when you click on this little caret, okay? So list box versus combo box. So drop-down combo box behaves like a drop-down combo box, but the user may not enter text directly. So list boxes versus combo box. So if restricting the user to selected items list, so if in empty space, you would use a list box. If limited space, you would use a drop-down list combo box. Oops, sorry. So if allowing users to select an item listed or enter an entirely new item, again, if it's empty, you want a combo box. If it's limited space, then you would use a drop-down combo box. So there are two different, the list box as well as the combo box. You just have to make sure which one would be feasible for you to use for your users. So random object, let's see where we are. So random numbers, I'm on page 348. Random numbers are used in games, in simulations to create random events. Computers create pseudo-random numbers, which are not truly random. So to generate random numbers in Visual Basic, you would create a random object reference variable. So for example, dim rand as new random. So this creates a new random object in memory called rand. The rand variable can be used to call the object's methods for generating random numbers. You call a random object's next method to get a random integer number. So init num equals ran.next and then parentheses. So calling next with no arguments generates an integer between 0 all the way up to 2 million, billion, something. Okay? So the next method, alternatively, you can specify an integer number or integer argument for the upper limit. So the following next method generates a number between 0 to 99. So init number ran.next all the way up to 100. Okay? So numeric range does not have to begin with 0. So add or subtract to shift the numeric range upward or downward. So again, here is our 100 and minus 50. And here is our number again, plus 1. So either way, it's going to go down 50 or it's going to go up 1. So the next double method, so call a random object's next double method to get a random floating point in the range of 0.0 up to, but not including 1.0. So if you want the random number to fall within a large range, multiply it by a scaling factor. The following statement generates a random number between 0.0 to 500.0. And here they're using the multiply. So we have our ran next double times the 500. So the following statement generates a random number between 100 and 600. So here they got a random number times 500 plus the 100. Okay? So in that tutorial, you can check that out in 510 tutorial, and that's on page 350. So random number seeds. The seed value is used in a calculation that returns the random number in a series. So using the same seed value, results in the same series of random numbers. The system time, which changes every hundredth of a second, is preferred seed value used by the random number object in most cases. You can specify the seed value if you desire when you create a random object. So for example, we have our rand number as new num, and then we have 1000. So 1000 as the seed value generates the same series of random numbers. So useful for specific tests and validations, or boring and repetitive for computer games or simulations. So simplifying code with the with and in with statements. So we multiply statements that use the same control or other objects. So we have our text name, clear, we have our color, we have our back color, we have our border style. So this can be simplified with a with end with statement. So what they did here was they took out all of these beginning text names and they put with text name, and then they just put dot clear, dot for color, dot back color, dot border style, and then in with. So this makes it so you don't have to keep typing the text name for each line. So this eliminates the need to repeatedly type the control name. Do we understand this? How they're using this here?
Yes.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, so tooltips. So what is a tooltip? A tooltip is a sort of short message you will see when holding the mouse over a control. So it's just like when you like scroll your mouse over a button, a little menu will pop out saying what type of control that is. So these are easy to set up in Visual Basic. The tooltip control allows you to create concise help for other controls on the form. So when adding a tooltip, you want to display the form in Designer window. You want to double click the tooltip, which is in your toolbox, and the tooltip is going to drop down into your component tray, which is at the bottom. The component tray is a resizable region at the bottom of your Designer window that holds invisible controls. So after adding a tooltip, all other controls will now have a tooltip property. So this new property holds the text string that will be displayed for that particular control. So again, tooltip properties. So we want to select the tooltip from the control or from the component tray. Then we're going to examine the properties window, and then we will see the following. We'll see initial delay, we'll see auto pop delay, we'll see reshow, and we'll see automatic display or automatic delay, sorry. So this one here, this is just a, this is just leading up to a case study about a vehicle loan. Okay, so it is 10 o'clock. What I want to do just real quick is just go over this example for the tooltips, because I think in the assignment that I gave for this week, I think there is a area where you have to add a tooltip. So real quick, the tutorial on page 510 which is on page 350, is what I want to go over. Do you guys have any questions real quick? No questions? Yes, no, maybe. Are you guys asleep? Is anybody still there?
My alarm clock didn't
Still here.
go off for the class.
Yeah, I'm still here. We're just trying to process all the information. There's a lot
Okay.
going on, but you know,
Hold on.
hopefully examples could help.
Yes, hopefully this example will help.
I really struggle because, like, I get everything. I just have a hard time actually putting it together. And that's the
Right.
hardest part. So sometimes I use other sources to help me get a better idea, but still, it just, it's not easy.
Okay. Okay, that's why I'm here to help. Okay, so we're going to go over this example. Make sure your Visual Basic is open. I'm sorry, just typing. Okay. Cynthia, I sent you something real quick. Okay, let me just share my Visual Basic. Let me close this out. Okay, so let's go in and create a new. And again, we want Windows Form app. So we're just going to follow right along with this tutorial. That's on page 350. You are more than welcome, if you're following along with me with this, you're more than welcome to go ahead. So this is called coin toss. Make sure you put it somewhere where you can find it. Okay, so we're going to add 2 picture boxes. Okay, thank you, Cheryl. So everybody have their picture boxes. So we need 2 picture boxes and we also need 2 buttons.
You use what did you use? Was the 2
This is a picture box.
both of those
These
are picture
2
boxes, right?
These 2 are picture boxes. And these 2 are buttons. Okay, are we all caught up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now what we want to do is we want to go in and find these coins. We want to stretch the image.
What coins are we using?
These are in the folders from where we've gotten.
But what are we using? The 25 cent, the 50 cent? You
No,
get
no,
what
no. Nope, there should be one in there for a heads or tails. Let me just see real quick. Images. Yeah, so in the coins,
For the
you want to choose either heads or tails. Okay. So there's my tails. So I'm going to local resource. I'm going to import.
what size did you
Stretch. We want to stretch. Yes, we want to change it to stretch.
Very good. Let's make sure that our face has all the parts. Make sure the nose.
Mr. Long,
What's up, Jovial?
is it gonna be a short day?
No, it'll be kind of a longer one today. Thanks.
And thank you. Okay, so we want to change our buttons. Let me find my properties. So one should be tossed the coin. Now you see that there's an underline for the T. An underline for the T. What do we do for that?
And
What do we? Yes, ampersand. Very good. Very good.
ampersand.
Very good. So we want ampersand, toss.
Oh, what's the and symbol for again?
Over the number 7. Over the number 7.
No.
Oh.
The do again is what I mean. I know it doesn't show up. I just don't know what it does.
Your phone went out. What did you say?
Oh, my bad. I know that it doesn't show up in the text. I just don't know what it does.
Oh, what it does is it underlines. See the little underline under the T? Let me just make this a little bigger for you guys. So you see the little underline under the T?
Yes.
So that's what that little ampersand does in front of, good morning. In front of, say that again.
For some reason, mine doesn't have it, I don't think.
Did you put this little ampersand before the T?
Yep.
You see in my text properties?
Yep. It's not showing up on mine. Here, let me make the button. Oh, there it is. I had to make the button bigger.
Okay. Okay.
There was enough room. It just didn't see it as enough room, I guess.
Okay, so we want to do the same thing with our exit button. Okay, so exit, we want to put the ampersand after the E, so it will underline the X.
Hold on. What we doing now? What step you're doing?
I'm just naming my buttons, naming the buttons.
Just write it one time.
Okay.
I noticed too that if you put a space between the and symbol and the word, the line is next to the letter and not underneath it.
Not underneath it, yeah. So you have to make sure, because it's only going to do the space next to, it's only going to do the space after the ampersand. Okay, so make sure you're also naming your buttons.
Oh, you need the line underneath the T and the X.
You do, yes, you do. So I'm just going to name this first button toss. And of course, we know that we have our exit button. Remember to also go back and name your pictures. The purpose of having the underline, someone asked, why do we have the underline? The purpose of having the underline underneath the letters, each of the letters, is in case someone doesn't have mouse capability on their computer. So what they can do is they can use the Alt key and that button. So I can do Alt T and it will press the toss, the coin button for me using the keyboard. Okay. So this is tails. Make sure you name your pictures. This is heads. Okay, we all set?
I'm not. I'm far behind, but just keep going. I'll figure it out.
Okay, we're just typing what's right there in the book on 350. Okay, so what we're going to do, make sure that we change the topping, our heading up here for our form. And this is our coin toss. The coins, someone asked where are the coins for the pictures. They can be found in that data file that we downloaded, where all of our pictures are. It should be in the coin folder. So we're going to move on. So again, the easiest thing that we can code is our exit button. So let's go ahead and code that. Make sure you're putting some descriptions in there. And also, please make sure you're putting in a heading. Some of you are not putting in your heading when I get your code. Do you have a question, Jose?
Yeah, I think I submitted 2 assignments without headings. So if you did get them, I apologize.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take off point. I'm kidding. Okay, so make sure you put your names up at the top. So the date, your name, and what program it is. It's just 3 little lines. Okay, so we have our exit button. Now let's go in and code for flipping the 2 coins. So as you can see in the book, they have some variables that they want to add. They have the random variable, the new rand.
Which code we're doing? Is the coin? The toss the coin?
The coin. I'm on step 4.
That's the button, right? The toss the coin button?
Yes.
sorry for the hold up.
Yes. So we are creating new variables. How's everybody doing?
Go ahead.
I'm trying to catch up on your writing.
Okay. So I'm just typing what's in the book.
Hey, for some reason my dim inside up as integer has a green line under inside up.
Right, because you have not called it yet. Once you get down to this step here and call it here, then that green line will go away. A green line is good. It's the red lines that you want to question.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Alright. I'm just still typing.
Nope,
real
you're
quick.
okay. I have time. I have time. I just want to go through this example with you guys so that it can help you with today's assignment.
Will this one also be on YouTube later?
Yes, I am recording this. Yes.
Alright, and for the other assignment that's due this week, will you be on tomorrow for help with that if needed or no?
On tomorrow if we need help. Let me just check my calendar to see if I have a meeting tomorrow. Yes, I can be on tomorrow at 10.
Tomorrow at 10?
Yeah.
Alright, thank you.
You're welcome. Now we're going for we're going to do our random flipping of the coin. I forgot what I named mine. Go ahead.
Oh, could you just go back real quick?
To,
Never mind. Thank you.
to the front?
Nope, to the code. I was still typing a bit. Sorry. If that's
Oh,
all right
yeah,
with you.
no, I only went back just to see what I named
Gotcha.
my variable.
All right. Thank you.
So you're welcome. So pick tails. So my tails picture dot visible.
What does that little 2 in the parentheses do by next?
What did we say that did? That is the, oh, we want to do it twice.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you see what we're doing? We're doing the tails first.
Yeah.
So if that's true, we want tails to be visible. And then we're going to do it the opposite way
No, what?
down here at the bottom. Somebody had a question, Michael?
I don't know if I have a question or not.
Okay.
Hold on. So you you have two head picture boxes visible?
I do not, no. I do not. Once this runs, only one of these are going to be visible. One of these are going to be, so if I click toss, it's going to give it to me random. It's just like when you flip a coin, like you used to flip a coin when you were little, heads or tails. So you wouldn't know what was coming up, so it would be random. Okay?
No, I meant right. I meant
Right here.
No, how you have them heads picture box at the bottom as well and tails picture box.
Right. So you have to do it opposite. You have to do it opposite. So if we get,
Oh, okay, I see it. I see what you're doing. Okay, I get it.
okay.
And I have red lines underneath my tails picture box and heads picture box. Because that has something to do with
How you
the name
named
I
it.
named it. Is
How
what
you
I named
named
it.
Go back to your properties and see how you named it.
Okay.
Hey, does it matter what order I put it in when I'm doing the equals, false, or true thing, or does like else have to
It
be at the
should.
bottom or top, or
It
no?
it should. You should put it in the order that they have it in the book, because I don't
So
want you to get messed up.
so it won't work if I do it
So-
otherwise, right?
Say that again.
So it won't work if I do it.
I mean, if you do it the opposite way, you have heads up here and tails at the bottom.
Yeah, I accidentally messed that up. Let me
You just have to make sure your true false is correct. So if heads is up
Okay.
here, make sure your heads is equal to false. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
So let's run it and see what happens. Oh, and of course my thing is up there. Okay. Hopefully it works. Because remember, we copied it right out of the book.
Okay, I was really confused because I thought we were flipping 2 coins at once and saying,
Oh, I've got an error. We are, no. We're just flipping the one coin, but because we are on a computer, we don't actually physically have the coin in our hand. We have to have a picture of the head and a picture of the tail.
yeah, I thought we were flipping 2 coins at once, so
Yep.
I didn't understand
No.
the code.
No. Did this work for anybody? Again, I don't know why I'm
It
having
worked
trouble
for
with
me.
my.
I have a question.
I'm still typing.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
When I named the picture, am I naming it on where it says design name?
Tell me one thing that's
Here.
Oh,
There's your picture, your name here. Yes, you're naming it here.
could I share my
No,
screen?
no, no.
real
What I
quick?
meant is
Hold on, Zachary.
on the form. You know how you go to your properties? Do you name it on
Right,
on
that's
design
where I am.
names?
Nope, you want to name it up here.
Come up when you're ready. James, go ahead.
You see where I am?
Those big fingers ready.
All the way at the top.
Yep, all the way at the top. If this is in order, all the way up at the top.
Also, it has to be head picture box.
Or whatever you name it. It could be head, it could be tail, whatever you name it.
Hold on, I can't.
All right, let me know when you do.
It's the same. We've been, hold on, I got to put you on mute for a minute because all of that background noise. It's the same way that we have been naming anything that we do in this class. So our exit button, we changed the name up here because this is the name that we are going to be using in the code. Okay, this text box is what our user sees. Our user does not see that we've named it exit button. So same thing up here with our picture box. We don't have a option down here to change the text because it's a picture box. So up here, we're going to change our name to tails picture box or heads picture box. Go ahead, Zachary. Share your screen, please.
Okay,
Thank you, Cheryl.
just looking for there it is. Share screen one. Now I'll open up it's already open. So why is that giving me a little red underline right there?
You don't have a equal. You need an
Oh.
equal sign in between there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now it should be good. Now I'm just gonna see if it runs real quick.
Where is your indiff?
Oh, it's at the bottom. I accidentally
Okay.
spaced a bunch. It
Okay.
should be there though.
Yep. Go ahead and run that for me.
Yep, just waiting for it. It's taking forever to load.
Thank you.
There it goes.
Okay. And if you press the toss button, good. Press it again. Good. Good. So it does work. Again, I've got to get my, I got to take my computer back to campus. Good. Okay, so
And
it
this
does
is
work.
the one that's due on the.
No. This is not due. This was
Oh,
just,
this is just practice.
This is just practice for what's to come. Yes.
Gotcha. And tomorrow
Okay.
you're available at 10 if any help is needed. All
I
right.
will be available at 10.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Have a nice
Yeah.
day.
Thank you, you as well.
Thanks for getting a page.
Hold
Can
on,
I,
hold on, Jose. Okay, so if you have any questions, I'll remain on the line. I think it was Joseph. Is he still on? Somebody had, yes, had a question. So I'll help you after everything. Please make sure that you are doing your assignments. I will be on tomorrow if you need if you have any questions. And if there's nothing else, I will see you guys. Thank you. Go ahead, Jose. Thank you, Cynthia. You're on mute, Jose, if you're talking.
What you 3 circles. So if you want to write a ball, draw a ball here. Then
Did anybody have any questions with this assignment? I'm just going to stop.